Hey everybody, Alan Butler with Butler Contracting here, where we're doing simple better. And hey, before we get too far in the weeds on today's video, I'd appreciate it very much if you could like and subscribe to our channel, and also hit that notification button so whenever we upload new content or new video, you can get a little ding on your phone and check out the latest and greatest from Butler Contracting. So today we're going to share 5 reasons why it's a good idea to get a survey on your property before you get a fence installed. And if you stick around at the end, I'm going to give you an extra 6 bonus option of why you should get a survey before you install a fence on your property. Number 1, what is a survey? Well, that's a great question. So a survey is basically marking the perimeter or property boundaries on your particular property. Now, sometimes when you move into a home, there might be flags or stakes that are already marked out in the yard. That doesn't necessarily mean it's absolutely in the correct location or where the actual property pins are marked or laid. So it's always a great idea to have an actual survey company come out and make those determinations for you, because they are the experts, can get it down to the centimeter of where exactly your property pin is. And just because a flag or a stake might be somewhere doesn't necessarily mean it's your property stake or pin. It could be someone else's, or to an adjacent property, or someone felt that, oh, that's not right, so they went and moved it before you moved in. So it's always great to get a survey, have the right people on board to come over there and take care of that. Number 2, kind of hit a little bit on the property boundaries and pins. Now, you could go out there with a metal detector and kind of look around and see if you can dig up those property pins and mark your own area or your own property survey. However, you may or may not be digging up the correct property pin. It could be your neighbor's, it could be an adjacent property. They may or may not be yours. So don't make the assumption that just because you found a pin or a stake in the ground, that means it's your property boundary. It could be someone else's or to something else. Number 3, easements. This is a great one, especially one that we always ask our customers when we call and have those phone consultations. Oftentimes, we always ask the customer, even when we look at Google Earth imagery or satellite imagery of a property, if there's utility lines running through there, or a transmission line or a pipeline, it's very possible that you may have an easement on your property. It's a good idea to understand where these are, to know where you can and cannot put a fence, and maybe what some of the rules and policies might be. Maybe you have to have a gate for access for the utility company. Maybe you can't put a structure that's permanent, within a certain footage from the easement. So these are all things that you need to know. These things will get taken care of during that survey process. So you're not putting a fence up and then later on find out you have to take it down or remove it or possibly get a fine. Number 4, everything is not square with property boundaries. So there could be times that you have a trapezoidal shape or a radius shape or something crazy going on your particular property. So just because point A to point B to point C to point D doesn't make a perfect rectangle every time on every property boundary. If you look at any kind of survey maps or tax record maps, you see all these crazy shapes and configurations of property boundaries and parcels. So it's a great idea to get an actual survey company out that can mark the pins, but also put stakes along the fence line where you might be putting them in a radius or whatever that curvature is. So we can make sure that when your fence company comes out, they put the fence in the exact right location and they don't make any assumptions. Because if you took a string line or something to mark this in one point to another point, you're only getting that straight line. There's no reference point in the middle for any curvature or change. So it's a great idea to do that so you don't end up putting a fence up and then putting it in the wrong place and having some cost for that later. Number 5. So one of the things that we talked about just a minute ago is making sure you have a good understanding where these pins are for variations of curvature, property boundary shape changes. So making sure you put the fence in the right place so when you get it put up, you don't have any issues with it and you have to end up taking it down or moving it, which is going to be even more costly for you. And you don't create any neighborly wars or disputes in the process. Now, since you stuck around, I'm going to go ahead and give you that bonus one. There's another thing called adverse possession. So just because you put a fence up on your property and maybe you say you leave a few feet away from the property boundary, it's always a great idea to try and put the fence exactly on your property line so you don't have any issues with adverse possession. If you don't claim that space, someone else might come in and encroach that space or claim that area as your property because you have a boundary or a fence up. I'm not a lawyer. I don't take this as exact legal advice. If you have any questions about adverse possession and how that might work, I would definitely recommend you consult with an attorney to figure all that out. So those are 6 reasons why you should get a survey before you build your next fence. And if you've got a fence currently and you're looking to replace it and upgrade it to something, I would definitely recommend go ahead and get that resurveyed in case you haven't done it before. Now, if you're confident in what you have and it's been there and you're good with it, no worries. So those are the 5 reasons why you should get a survey with that added extra bonus in there. Again, I'm not a legal professional, so don't take my word for it. Consult with your attorney on adverse possession. So we appreciate your time today. If you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comment box below. And I'm always up for engaging in conversations. If you feel that anything should be added to this list or maybe isn't quite right, let us know. I'm always open for discussion and having those good conversations with the community. And we hope to see you on your next project.